Have you ever had that sudden, strange feeling, as if a moment you're experiencing is oddly familiar? As though you've already lived through it, word for word, action for action? This intriguing experience has a name: déjà vu. The term, borrowed from French, literally translates to already seen. And let me tell you, what's happening inside your mind when this occurs is absolutely fascinating. To understand déjà vu, let's start with the basics of how memory works. Your brain is essentially a gigantic supercomputer, constantly soaking up new information. Everything you see, hear, and experience is processed and filed away. Normally, there are two types of memory at play in your daily life: short-term and long-term memory. Short-term memory acts almost like a temporary clipboard, holding on to information briefly. For example, recalling a phone number you just heard. Long-term memory, on the other hand, is like an expansive library containing everything from childhood moments to what you ate for dinner last week. The two work together quite seamlessly, but here's where it gets interesting. Déjà vu occurs when there's an unusual mishap in this process. Imagine your brain filing away a memory incorrectly, placing it in the long-term cabinet before you've actually experienced it. This slight misfiring creates a peculiar sensation where your present moment feels like it has already happened before. Essentially, while it feels eerie, déjà vu is like a minor short circuit within your brain's memory processing unit. But why does this happen in the first place? Are certain people more prone to déjà vu? And is there any link between déjà vu and the mystical world, as some claim? Let's dive even deeper into these questions. Firstly, scientists estimate that around 2/3 of people experience déjà vu at least once in their lives. It's most commonly reported by people in their youthful years, typically between the ages of 15 to 25. Why this age range? Because young brains are still developing and forming complex neural pathways. Some experts suggest that the heightened mental activity during this period makes the brain more susceptible to momentary glitches. There's also a fascinating connection between déjà vu and stress. When you're overly fatigued, anxious, or stressed, your brain is, quite literally, overworked. This increases the chance of a misfire in memory recording. Imagine a really tired librarian who accidentally puts a book in the wrong section. That book? It's your present experience, misfiled as a memory. Now let's talk about a darker side to déjà vu. In rare cases, frequent experiences of déjà vu can be linked to neurological conditions like temporal lobe epilepsy. You see, the temporal lobe, responsible for managing memories and emotions, can overfire, triggering déjà vu as part of a seizure response. However, for most of us, déjà vu is harmless, serving merely as a fleeting moment of brain confusion. Interestingly, researchers have identified different psychological theories to explain déjà vu. One leading hypothesis is the dual processing theory. According to this, your perception and memory systems generally work in sync, like two dancers perfectly coordinating their steps. When one gets slightly out of sync, say your brain processes something as a memory before fully analyzing it in real time, you experience déjà vu. Another theory, called the hologram theory, relies on the idea of memory fragments. Even tiny, seemingly insignificant details in your surroundings can remind your brain of a past memory. Maybe it's the way a certain shadow falls, or a faint smell in the air. Your brain retrieves a sliver of an old memory, muddling it with the present moment, and voila! Déjà vu strikes. One more mind-bending idea is the neurological explanation called neuronal delay. Essentially, the brain communicates via electrical impulses traveling through neurons. If there's a slight delay in one part of the brain relaying information, it gets processed at two different times. The delayed part feels like a duplicate experience, triggering what you interpret as déjà vu. But why does déjà vu feel so eerie? That unsettling sensation often arises because while the experience feels familiar, you can't pin down where or when it happened before. This familiarity without context is exactly what unsettles us. Psychologists believe it throws our mental systems momentarily out of balance, making us question our perception of reality. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Many people associate déjà vu with paranormal concepts like reincarnation or psychic abilities. Is déjà vu really a glimpse into past lives or even parallel universes? While there's no scientific evidence to support this, such interpretations highlight how deeply déjà vu sparks our imagination. The idea of déjà vu being a crack in the matrix, a brief moment where alternate timelines overlap, is captivating but firmly in the realm of speculation, not science. Of course, we've got to talk experiments. Scientists have tried for decades to coax déjà vu in a controlled laboratory environment. In one fascinating experiment, psychologists used virtual reality to create environments that share subtle similarities with others. Participants often reported a déjà vu sensation in these carefully designed settings. This supports the notion that déjà vu occurs when present situations mimic past ones in indistinct ways your conscious cannot immediately recognize. A newer take involves the role of genetics. If you've ever wondered whether déjà vu runs in families, you're not alone. While research is still in its infancy, some findings suggest hereditary factors might make certain individuals more likely to experience déjà vu. Could this mysterious phenomenon be written into our DNA? And here's another question. Can déjà vu serve a purpose? Although it feels like an error in the matrix, some theorists propose it might act as a reality check for the brain. The sensation forces us to pause and reflect on our surroundings, perhaps as a way to ensure we're accurately storing current experiences. It's like your brain's way of double-checking the recording equipment. Let's take a moment to marvel at just how complex and intricate our minds are. Think about it. Your brain processes billions of bits of information every moment, filtering noise, forming memories, and planning the future. Déjà vu is a rare peek into the mysterious and often hidden functions of this spectacular organ. So the next time déjà vu stops you in your tracks, don't just dismiss it as a glitch. Relish the moment. You're getting a front-row seat to one of neuroscience's greatest enigmas, one that continues to baffle scientists, stir our imaginations, and connect us to the wonderful mystery of being human. And now, we'd love to hear from you. Share your most vivid déjà vu experiences in the comments below. Have you ever had one so strong it gave you chills? Or one that made you question reality itself? Let's discuss and keep exploring these fascinating why facts.